Yes, good evening, everyone. Let us start with a couple of things which I need to discuss, and then we'll just take a revision or brief, you can say, brush up for few chapters as we discussed. And if at all you have got any queries, then we'll address those queries also. First, I would like to talk about this portfolio risk. Like we have seen this formula during our session, right? Only thing is we discussed that this will not calculation will not be there, but it is decided that the calculation for this portfolio risk will be there in exams. So not necessarily it will be asked in the exam, but there is a possibility of practical question on this. So I thought let's take practical illustration on this so that if at all the question is asked in exams, you can be well prepared for that. All right. Huh? So this formula we have already talked about, but I will just briefly recap this formula. Now, this formula is used for calculating risk, that is standard deviation of a portfolio, which is having two stocks. Huh? That means we have seen standard deviation calculation for A, B separately. But when two stocks are together, like I have got a portfolio of A and B stock with 60-40 proportion, or 70-30 proportion. So different proportions are possible or different weightage is possible. So in that case, how to calculate the answer? Now this formula is purely based on the formula for a plus b the whole square. If you remember a plus b the whole square, the formula was a square plus 2ab plus b square. Huh? So it goes in similar lines, a square plus 2ab plus b square. Only thing is here a is weightage of a, standard deviation of a, and b is weightage of b, standard deviation of b. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the square of weightage. Huh? So let us say weightage is, please keep on mute, please. I request all of you, please keep on mute. Okay. Weightage of A, let us say it is 60% and weightage of B is 40%. So what we have to do is here, we have to take weightage of A as 60%. That is 60%. That would be considered as, so let us say weightage of A is 60%. 60% means 0.6. And weightage of B will consider 40%. That is 0.4. So what we have to do is we have to take weightage a square, that is 0.6 square, into standard deviation of a square. Now that standard deviation would be given in the question, or you may be calculating that. Now you know how to calculate standard deviation. So we'll take standard deviation square. That means we'll take the variance of variance of the standard deviation of a. Likewise, we will add weightage of b square. Now here weightage of b was 40%. Now 40% means we'll take, sorry, yeah, weightage of A was 60%, so 0.6. Weightage of B was 40%, so which is 0.4. So what we'll do is for weightage of B, we'll take 0.4 square into standard deviation of B would be given. So you have to take square of standard deviation of B plus 2 times weightage of A, weightage of B. Weightage of AB is 0.6, 0.4. Their standard deviations will multiply by standard deviation into R. So remember this is R factor. R means correlation coefficient. So correlation coefficient would be either given in the question or they will ask you to calculate correlation coefficient. So I hope you remember the formula for correlation coefficient. So that figure we have to consider in this calculation for R. So what we will do is we will consider correlation coefficient into weightage of both the stocks into standard deviation of both the stocks. Correct? So three figures are there. So what we'll do is we'll calculate these three numbers and then we'll add all the three. And then we'll take the square root. That would be considered as standard deviation of a portfolio. Now, when we look at this formula, it looks difficult, but when we'll do the calculation, it is not that difficult. Huh? So we'll see an illustration after this. So this is formula when R is used. All right. Now, second concept is we can calculate the same answer like beta factor. We have calculated by using couple of formulas. So here also we can use a different formula. If you remember covariance of a stock is R, that is correlation coefficient into standard deviation of A into standard deviation of B. So what we can do is we can replicate the same formula. Only thing is instead of this, that is R into standard deviation of A into standard deviation of B, what we can do is we can use covariance between the stocks or between the variables and into weightage of A, weightage of B. So first two terms will remain as it is and only third term will be changed only to this extent. Are you getting it? Weightage of AB remains same, and for R into standard deviation of A into B, that would be replaced by the covariance. But if you remember one of the two formulas that is sufficient, then preferably you remember this formula because mostly the question would be asked on this, where the correlation either would be given or you will calculate and then substitute a value. All right. Hopefully steps are clear for this.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. So we'll take a practical illustration on this. Okay. Let us look at the practical illustration. A is interested to invest rupees 1 lakh in the securities market. He has selected two stocks, that is B and D, for this purpose. Risk and return for this securities is given. Now, two securities are given, B and D. So here what we will consider is B and D. We will consider how much is the risk and how much is the standard deviation. And accordingly, we will consider their figures. So risk of B is given as 10 and risk of D is given as 18. Expected return is given as 12 and 10. And correlation coefficient is given as 0.15. So maybe you can note down these figures at your end. So when we use the formula, you can easily refer them. Just you can make a note of these figures. These return and risk, as well as coefficient of correlation is given. Coefficient of correlation is given as 0.15. Correlation coefficient means R is given. Now you know when R is given, obviously we'll have to use the first formula wherein R between two stocks or two variables is given. So we'll be using the first formula. This one, first one. Okay. Then you are required to calculate the portfolio return and the risk. Now we know all the figures. Only thing is we don't know the weightage. So as you can see here, they have given you two scenarios for calculating weightage. First scenario is 50% in fund B and 50% in stock B. So that means the weightage is 0.5 and 0.5. So one alternative is 0.5 weightage for both. Second alternative is 75% in B and 25% in D. So 0.75 and 0.25%. So these two weightage are given for second case. Also indicate that which portfolio is best for him from risk as well as return point of view. If you remember, we have solved a sum on this risk and return. When we have to consider both, then what we can calculate? Do you remember? Both risk and return we have to consider. So we can calculate
Coefficient of variation.
Correct. So we can calculate coefficient of variation because standard deviation is also given and returns are also given. So what we can do is we can calculate coefficient of variation, which is standard deviation upon return. So we can calculate coefficient of variation for both the stocks, both the portfolios, portfolio 1 and portfolio 2. All right. So steps are clear. Now what we'll do is we'll see how the calculation is actually done. Hmm? Can you tell me how much is the weighted average return? Weighted average return is simple. You have to take weightage as 0.5, 0.5, multiply by their expected return, that is 12% and 20%. Can you calculate that and tell me the answer? Weighted return.
Sir, 11%.
16%.
16% is correct.
13.63.
See, how much is the weightage? B return. Now you can look at the figures. Return for B is 12 and 20. And weightage is 0.5, 0.5. So what you have to do is 12 into 0.5, 6%. And 20 into 0.5, 10%. So we'll add both of them. So that will amount to 16%. Till this step, everyone is clear? Yes. Weighted average return.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Huh? Now, for calculating second step, weighted average risk. Huh? So what is the formula? We have to take weightage of B square into standard deviation of B square, weightage of D square into standard deviation of D square, plus 2 times R into uh, weightage of B, weightage of D, standard deviation of BD. All right. So weightage of B is 0.5. So we'll take 0.5 square. Standard deviation. Now, I'll take you to last slide. Standard deviation of B is 10 and D is 18. So what we'll do is for B will take 10. B will take standard deviation as 10 and D will take standard deviation as 18. Correct? So we'll take 0.5 square into 18 square. So this would be the first two terms. Clear? And always it is good to take weightage in decimals only. So if you take 50%, the square will be 2,500. So that would be very big figure. So better you take weightage in decimals. Just remember, you can just note down this point. Consider weightage in decimals. All right. Then 2 into correlation coefficient is given 0.15. So we'll multiply all four. Weightage of B, weightage of D, standard deviation of B, standard deviation of D into correlation coefficient. So what in short we have to do is we have to take multiplication of all these numbers and find out one answer. Huh? So we'll have total 3 answers. 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Clear? So don't hurry in the exam. If at all this type of question comes, all the 3 solve it separately because there is a possibility of making mistake. So better is solve 3 separately. You can cross verify now. So 10 square is 100 into 0.20 into 0.5 square, that is 0.25. So that would be 25. Second answer is 81. Third answer is 13.5. So then we'll add all the 3 terms, that is 25 plus 81 plus 13.5. So once we add all the 3 terms, then we'll have to consider the square root of all the 3 terms together. I hope you're clear with all these steps.
Yes, sir.
Huh? So total is 119.5. So if you take square root of 119.5, so that would be 10.90. All right. Huh? On similar lines, when the weightage changes from 50 to 75%, and for D, it will change from 50 to 25%. Can you tell me what would be the change in overall calculation? Kidhar kidhar change aayega? Where there will be change?
I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, if the net weight, that is 6 and 10% of P and D, we are not using that at all anywhere in the formula, then why do we have to find that?
See, the question is calculate. We have to
No, I
calculate
mean,
portfolio return and risk. Correct. So first table is for calculating this table 16%. This calculation is for calculating the returns. Huh? And second is for calculating risk. And that's why we are not using first and the second.
Okay, sir. Okay, got it.
Yes, Gaurav.
सर यू सेड कि स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन दिया होगा बट ये कैसे फाइंड किया हमने स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन फिर यहाँ से
देखो just see in this question, security B risk is 10, D is 18. So they have given you the standard deviation in the question.
अच्छा हाँ हाँ ठीक है आई एम सो सॉरी
Correct. हाँ?
माय
And
बैड
अगर अपना टेबल वाला रहेगा ना सम, you remember टेबल देते हैं last 5 years का डेटा,
हाँ हाँ यस
वैसे
यस
दिया तो you know what are the steps. First step is you calculate
या
standard deviation by using the form. Huh?
या सर थैंक यू
Welcome. I hope everyone is clear till now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Okay, so this is first step. Okay, Neeraj, what is the doubt?
तो हमको हमेशा ये वेटेज दिया ही रहेगा उसमें.
Yes, because portfolio weightage नहीं दिया है तो हम लोग सम सॉल्व ही नहीं कर पाएंगे. तो वो सम में मेंशन किया ही रहेगा कि वेटेज कितना है. लाइक यहाँ पे दो आपको ऑप्शन दिया है, आइदर एक ही देंगे 50-50 या जो भी परसेंटेज है, और दे विल गिव यू मल्टीपल ऑप्शंस, बट दैट वेटेज वुड बी गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन ऑलवेज.
ठीक सर, ठीक.
ऑलराइट. ओके.
यस सर, यस.
लेकिन सेकंड फॉर्मूला यूज किया है ना अपन ने
फर्स्ट वन R1. कोरिलेशन कोएफिशिएंट दिया तो फर्स्ट वाला यूज करने का, कोवेरिएंस दिया तो सेकंड वाला यूज करने का.
ये तो क्वेश्चन में दिया होगा ना सर फिर
हाँ हाँ, कोरिलेशन दिया रहे. एंड कोरिलेशन
ठीक
नहीं
है
दिया,
सर
यू नो टेबल वाइज हाउ टू कैलकुलेट कोरिलेशन कोएफिशिएंट.
या लेकिन वो टेबल वाला आएगा तो हमको पोर्टफोलियो का नहीं निकालने बोलेंगे ना वो लोग क्वेश्चन
नहीं
ही चेंज हो जाएगा ना
नहीं, क्वेश्चन चेंज हो. ओके. एंड अगर मान लो वैसा आएगा अगर क्वेश्चन सपोज, तो देन व्हाट विल बी द स्टेप. फर्स्ट यू कैलकुलेट एवरेज रिटर्न, then you calculate standard deviation, and then you calculate R, or you can calculate covariance also, because there is no barrier to use first or second formula. Then you can calculate covariance and directly use the second formula, this one. You can use the second formula and you can substitute values and directly get the answer. Because covariance का formula थोड़ा easy है. What you do is you take A minus A bar into B minus B bar upon market variance. So that becomes easy for you to calculate, right?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yes. Okay. Now here, if like in second question, they have asked you if the weightage is 75 and 25%, then what would be the change?
Only the weightage column will
Correct.
change.
Everything else remains same. Only the weightage will change. Now you can see in returns, weightage is changing. Here it was 0.5, 0.5. It becomes 0.75 and 0.25. Secondly, the formula, except weightage, all figures will remain as it is, because standard deviation and correlation coefficient, that would remain same. Only what will change is the figure of weightage. So you can see here, only what has changed is the weightage here. Weightage has become 0.75 and 0.25. So you have got the weighted average returns, which is 14%. And weighted average risk, only the weightage has changed, except all the figures, that is standard deviation, correlation coefficient, that would remain constant. And later, then you know, we have to calculate these three, then take the total, and then take the square root, and that would be your portfolio risk, that is standard deviation of a portfolio. Hopefully it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Huh?
Yes, sir.
After this, I'm going to make you one question solve so that you will have practice also. So don't worry about this. And anyways, I'm going to share the recording. So if at all you have got any doubts, so still you can again go back and refer this. All right. Now the last question was which portfolio is a better portfolio? Now see, we have got two answers, two returns and two risk. So if you remember, when risk and return both are available, what we calculate is coefficient of variation. And how coefficient of variation is calculated? By considering average standard deviation upon average return. So what we'll do is we'll consider the standard deviation, that is risk 10.9 upon 16 for first case. And second case, we have got return of 14% and risk of 9.3%. So which is 0.66. And if you remember, for coefficient of variation, what is the rule? Wherever coefficient of variation is minimum, that should be preferred for investment. So naturally, coefficient of variation is less in case of second portfolio option. So it is advisable to go for, or recommendation wise, second portfolio is recommended as compared to first portfolio. Hopefully all the steps are clear.
Yes, sir.
Any
Yes,
doubts?
sir.
No? Then we'll go to next sum where you can try it out. All right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now do one thing. Check this sum and tell me what would be the portfolio risk. First, go through the question. Then I'll discuss it out once and then you can check out the answer. Okay, tell me one thing. Have you gone through the question? Is amount important in the question? Or will we use 1 lakh in the
No.
calculation? No,
I
correct.
don't think so,
No,
sir.
sir.
Yes, that is not required. What is important is the weightage. And how much is the weightage? Between PQ
60-40.
Yes, 60-40. So we have to take
0.6,
weightage of P as 0.60.
9.61.
Weightage of P is 0.6. Weightage of Q is 0.4. Now, risk for P is 8 and risk for Q is 13. Now, can you substitute values in the formula for portfolio and tell me how much is the portfolio risk? Though they have asked you only portfolio risk, but can you calculate both portfolio risk and return?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So please do calculate.
Return is 10%.
No, return
is
is 14.4.
14.4.
okay. Return is
14.4.
yes 0.6
Risk is
into
9.62.
yes. So average return is 14.4%. Now quickly calculate how much is the risk, standard deviation of portfolio.
9.62.
Okay. Are you getting 9.62% as answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Done.
Done? All right, let us check. Have you
Yes,
got
sir.
this answer? 9.62 or 9.61? Either.
sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I hope you found it easy for doing the calculation.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. And I hope you're clear with how this calculation is done.
सर ये अगर मतलब लास्ट वाले सेक्शन में आएगा लाइक फॉर सेक्शन सी में तो भी हमें इतना ही स्टेप करना है राइट
Huh, only thing is if they ask you right from beginning, then you will have to first calculate the first steps and then you have to calculate for the next subsequent steps.
तो उसमें
ठीक है सर
कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ कोरिलेशन कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, correlation coefficient या covariance, either of the two
हाँ,
you can
one of
calculate
the
and
two.
you can find out the answer.
Okay.
Yes.
तो भी सर वही ना टेबल वगैरह बना के वैसे ही कुछ करना है guys, राइट
Yes. 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 Okay, I'll share you one. I hope everyone is done with this.
यस सर
Hmm? Okay. Now it will be something like this. Right? So they will give you the data for two, like here they have given you data for 2 years. They may give you for 3, 4, 5 years. Huh? And they have asked you to calculate risk of portfolio considering 40 and 60% weightage. So basically what you will do is, as you can see here the step, first you will calculate A bar, B bar. Now here there is only 2 years. If there are 3 or 4 years, then you will just add the number of years, correct? So first step is you calculate average, then you calculate standard deviation, then you calculate correlation coefficient or covariance, either of the two, whichever you feel like using the formula. And once you calculate this, then you can substitute values in this formula and then you can get how much is the risk of the portfolio. Are you getting it?
यस सर
So like here, you have got A minus A bar into B minus B bar. So this whole calculation, this is, I'll just show you for, so that you will understand. So this is 18 upon standard deviation of A is 3, B is also 3. So this is 18 divided by 3 into 3. So in short, 18 divided by 9. So how much will be covariance? Covariance will be sorry, A minus A bar into B minus B bar. It is 18 upon N is 2. So covariance is 9. Now, once you get covariance as 9, okay, I'll write down here. I don't know, 1 minute.
In standard deviation and covariance formula, we have to write divide by n or n minus 1.
See, as I told you in the classroom several times, this is financial management where we are using the actual data, right? So when we're using actual data and not sample, not preferably, you are not supposed to use n minus 1. All right?
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm because my friend in different section, some other teacher had taught n minus one.
No, no, no.
So
You have to
that's
consider
why.
this only, n only.
Okay, done. Thank you.
All right? So this is 18 upon 2, so 9. So once you get covariance as 9, then next step is either you can directly use covariance formula and you will get the answer. That is one step. Or if you don't want to by heart two formulas, then you know correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient is covariance upon both standard deviation. Now we got covariance as 9 and standard deviation for both the stocks is 3. So 3 into 3. So it will be basically 9 upon 9. So correlation coefficient R will be 1 here. All right. And once you get 1 as R, then you know the values. You know weightage as 40, 60. You know standard deviation is 3 and 3. And correlation coefficient is 1. You can substitute values in this formula and you can get the risk of the portfolio in totality. I hope this calculation is clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I hope in exams, if the question comes, you'll be able to solve this type of question.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You can again, like after our session, you can again just try out the question which we solved just now so that you will have the practice of using the formula. See, formula is not difficult. Only thing is you have to practice it couple of times. So once you practice it, the formula is actually easy. Just remember a square plus b square plus 2ab. So in that format, you have to write weightage of a, standard deviation of a, and only you have to last term you have to add correlation coefficient r. Okay.
Sir, if we find the covariance or correlation, then we don't have to do that the table you have done above step fifth, 40% investment in B and 60% in B.
This table is only for calculating return. So if the risk is asked now, only risk is asked, like we have solved the last question, wherein only risk is asked, then you can avoid this table. But when return and risk both are asked, then you can prepare the table. This table is for calculating weighted average returns. And this formula is used for calculating weighted average risk. And remember, for returns, we'll consider only A bar, B bar. See, A bar 13 hai, B bar 15 hai. So that we are using for calculating weighted average returns. But for calculating risk, we are using standard deviation, that is 3% and 3%. Hope it is clear.
Yes.
Any other doubts before we proceed? No? All right. So after this session, I'll share the PDF with you. Both the CRs, then CRs can circulate with the students, class students. I hope everyone is clear with this standard deviation calculation. So next plan is like whatever doubts you have. Some of the students had doubt regarding CAPM model, cost of capital. So I was just thinking to take few practice sums and just to give you idea about where you make mistake or where to avoid those mistakes. So those who want to attend the session can re-log in into the session. I'll start with another session. So if you don't want to attend that, then you can leave this meeting and don't join it back again. All right. But if you have any doubts or if you want to just attend that practice sessions or thing, then you can join in the same link again. But there I'm not going to teach you anything new or extra. So that would be just like kind of practice sum or doubt solving.